couple of quick questions that dropped in from our audience. Barlow, this one dropped in during your segment, but Mike, you're more than welcome to give your input if you like as well. But we'll start with you, Barlow. Did the NIST special publication make zero trust networks a NIST requirement? And if not, do you think a zero trust architecture will become a requirement in the future?
It's possible a zero trust network, to answer the second question first, could become a requirement, but it's really more of a guideline. And for example, HIPAA has not really changed anything except from high tech. That was an acronym for an act back in 2013, I think. But the laws really don't change very much. They basically say, they're very broad, and they say, you know, use reasonable security approaches. Some of the language of ISO 27001 and NIST, it could be updated to sort of include some of the zero trust network language. But basically, the requirement was that whoever follows HIPAA, you know, within the government is, whoever follows NIST, of course, within the government is implementing the zero trust guidelines. That's the way it is right now.
Thank you so much, Barlow. And Mike, a question that dropped in during your segment here. We've talked a lot about zero trust this afternoon, but how practical is zero trust? I mean, where and how are you seeing your customers apply this model?
Yeah, as I said during my presentation, you know, a lot of pieces of zero trust are already in customers' networks, and they're already using many pieces of it. But as we seem to go forward, you know, compliancy requirements are driving it. You know, as Barlow stated with the NIST 800-207, we're seeing more and more customers that are making those requirements, whether they're getting pressed to have it or not. We're getting it as a vendor that says, you know, before I'll allow your solution in my environment, you better be NIST 800-207 compliant, or, you know, other 801 and 171 compliant, or you need to be CMMC level 3 certified or CMMC level 5 certified. So these regulations that are being put out there and have been out there for a while, the vendors are now having to respond to them as far as requirements for even, you know, proposing, doing an RFP or an RFI. You have to meet those requirements in order to even get into the ball game, as it were. So a lot of customers are looking at them from the perspective of, as some of the stuff Barlow covered, I want to keep, you know, my bases covered. I don't want to be sued. I don't want to leave my company exposed to any type of litigation. So therefore, I'm going to do the best that I can, and the best that I know of is, you know, whatever regulation they want to look at. This is where a lot of the motivation is coming from, a zero trust perspective. And like I said, a lot of the pieces of zero trust are out there by many customers. And by talking to our company and looking at the solutions that we work with, because we integrate with so many pieces of that, we can tie them all together into a consistent user experience for them.
Thank you so much. And Mike, we'll really close with this question here. It dropped in during your segment. Barlow, if you want to give your input as well, we would love to hear it. But Mike, where do you think the trends will evolve when it comes to secure access over the next few years? So a bit of a forward look to close things out today.
Sure, and I think I've highlighted a little bit in my presentation, which is a CARTA score, that continuous adaptive risk threat assessment. I think that's going to become key. As I talk to analysts and I talk to customers out there, people want to be able to dynamically adjust access on a network based upon a user's behavior. So if they start doing something that they're not supposed to, doesn't match their profile, doesn't match their behavior, and that the collection of information, that behavior analytics, so that we can dynamically remove or restrict access on the network, you know, just in time, as it were, to stop inappropriate conduct, behavior, and access. Looking back in my 25 years with the military intelligence community and working for the military, you know, we used to set up what we called honeypots, and as we had an intruder, we would spin up honeypots in front of them to try and keep them active, so that we could reverse stream them and find out where they were coming from before we finally killed their access. Today, you don't have that type of IT overhead to be able to do that in a corporate environment. So you need the network to be smart and intelligent enough that it can see a user doing something they're not supposed to and be able to turn off or to restrict the level of access they have based upon those behaviors.
Thank you so much, Mike. Anything to add, Barlow, before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I would say that along the lines that Mike commented, I think that most of all of our data will not be located at the enterprise in going forward. It'll all be cloud, and cloud will take care of access and security. And also, I think AI, which is sort of, you could tie that to machine learning, but really AI is going to play a huge role in, just like it guesses what we say today and interprets that and puts it into text or foreign language translations. AI is going to start smelling out just what we are now doing manually in terms of and cutting networks, cutting access to malicious users. So we're going to see a lot more of that, and that will be with phishing and ransomware. That's going to be coming very quickly, I think.